all, and you're watching TVS Nightline with me, Douglas Elliott, and this is our top story. Chief Minister Datuk Petinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg has proposed amendments to Article 1 Bracket 2 and Article 160 Bracket 2 of the Federal Constitution, which he described would be more comprehensive and reflects the true spirit and intention of those involved in the inking of the Malaysia Agreement 1963.
These amendments to the definition of the Federation under Article 160 Bracket 2 are crucial and must be done so that the Malaysian Agreement 1963 and its annexures are recognized in the Federal Constitution. This amendment would also introduce the definition of Malaysia Day, which was never defined before.
According to the Chief Minister, this is the second such attempt of the amendments in recent years. The first amendment was attempted in 2019. However, it did not receive the two-thirds majority support of the members of Parliament.
The Sarawak GPS did not lend its support to the earlier amendment because, in our view, the amendment was purely cosmetic in nature and did not reflect the spirit and special status of Sabah and Sarawak as envisaged in MA 63.
Earlier, Abang Johari received a courtesy call from the Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, where, among others, they discussed the proposed amendments to the Federal Constitution and other matters related to Malaysia Agreement 1963 and Sarawak's interests.
At the same function, Abang Johari said Sarawak has also discussed with the federal government on the amendment to the definition of natives under Article 161A of the Federal Constitution. He said that this would allow the state government the power to decide which ethnic group in Sarawak shall be recognized as being indigenous.
With this amendment, the power to decide which races in Sarawak shall be recognized as being indigenous to the state shall be determined by the state through state laws.
And the allocation for Sarawak under the 12th Malaysia Plan for the purpose of reducing the development gap is still considered low. The Chief Minister reiterated that it should be re-evaluated and additional allocation for the state be reconsidered.
The allocation of 4.4 billion is mere 6.8% of the total national development expenditure under the 12th Malaysia Plan First Rolling Plan, and it clearly does not reflect the needs of Sarawak, considering its size and level of development, as well as its status as an equal partner to the formation of Malaysia.
In previous discussions on the national allocations, the Chief Minister said the results of the partnership should be balanced and reflect the status of Sarawak as an equal partner. This recognition includes the state's contributions to the nation's gross domestic product (GDP) through Sarawak's natural resources and the revenues received from Sarawak taxpayers.
Out-of-state Sarawakans should be heaving a sigh of relief as the entry procedures to enter Sarawak will be streamlined soon. According to State Tourism, Art and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, the measure was taken to enable Sarawakans to return home without many hassles.
He said currently his ministry is deliberating with the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee STMC on the best course of action on the matter. However, the relaxation on the entry conditions only applies to Sarawakians for the time being.
Kemungkinan kita akan buka ruang untuk orang Sarawak dahulu tanpa apa-apa halangan, termasuk dengan permit untuk masuk ke Sarawak, permit to enter Sarawak. We will look into that, we will deliberate into that matter as soon as possible. Untuk mereka yang bukan resident Sarawak ataupun bukan berasal dari Sarawak, kemungkinan sabar dahululah.
Karim was speaking at a press conference after launching the Jom ke Sarawak campaign today. Previously, Karim called upon the STMC to re-evaluate the entry requirements into Sarawak after the interstate travel bans were lifted.
Meanwhile, the State Tourism Ministry today unveiled the Jom ke Sarawak tourism program, which offers special packages to visitors to the state. The Buy Now, Travel Later concept was meant to entice travelers with vouchers without having to be worried about cancellation penalties.
I understand that there will be 16 exciting tour packages included in the Jom ke Sarawak campaign, starting as low as Ringgit Malaysia 176 for a 3 days, 2 nights stay. That's very, very cheap actually. 176 for 3 days, 2 nights. This is indeed very affordable for you to discover Sarawak at its fullest potential.
However, Abdul Karim stressed that visitors would still need to adhere to the strict standard operating procedures or SOPs during their stay. Visitors can easily buy the package online through Shopee Malaysia application. Abdul Karim added that this was one of the efforts to revive the tourism sector in the state.
It is such a delight to finally be able to open up the tourism gates again to domestic as well as regional travelers soon. This will bring healing to our economy, restore and create employment opportunities, and of course, bringing back the confidence and the tourism sector back to life.
Sedap. Macam mana kita boleh naik atas tu? Sedap orang naik atas tu. Pintu tu dapat dibuka dari belah dalam aja tu sih. Tak tu. Ha? Mak!
Apa masalah kau tu? Semua benda penting aku nak punya tu sih.
Tolong selamat aku daripada orang gila kat situ.
Welcome to Take Me to Sarawak, the travel show that takes you on a journey for great food, culture, and meeting interesting people in little-known places. Follow me as I rediscover my homeland every Sunday, 7:15 p.m. only on TVS Channel 122 Astro and MyTV. Aram, kita rawat.
Servis Sarawak merupakan model penyampaian perkhidmatan baru kerajaan negeri dalam usaha untuk menyampaikan perkhidmatan cemerlang kepada rakyat Sarawak. Ia telah dirasmikan oleh Ketua Menteri Sarawak yang amat berhormat Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg pada 2 Disember 2018. Setakat ini, 3 pusat perkhidmatan servis Sarawak telah dilaksanakan iaitu di Kuching, Sibu dan Miri. Kepelbagaian saluran perkhidmatan seperti khidmat kaunter, portal rasmi, aplikasi telefon pintar dan e-kios memudahkan rakyat dalam membuat pilihan pembayaran. Servis Sarawak ini berkonsepkan No Wrong Counter yang menawarkan gabungan perkhidmatan pelbagai agensi di Sarawak dalam sesebuah kaunter perkhidmatan. Berteraskan mesra pelanggan, servis Sarawak diharapkan dapat menjadi saluran perkhidmatan yang mampu memenuhi kehendak serta keperluan rakyat di Sarawak.
We're back with COVID updates. Sarawak today recorded 1,009 new COVID-19 infections. However, only 22 cases were reported to be involving lung infections that require assistance from ventilators. The Sarawak Disaster Management Committee announced today that the remaining 987 cases were asymptomatic cases.
The number of new COVID-19 cases today brings the cumulative number of infections in the state to 229,745 cases. Kuching registered the highest number of cases among districts with 267 cases, followed by Miri with 192, Cebu 105, and Daro with 61 cases. SDMC also announced that 12 fatalities were recorded in Sarawak between 5th October to 13 October.
A total of 21,355,550 individuals, or 91.2% of the adult population in Malaysia, have completed their COVID-19 vaccination as of yesterday.
Based on the Health Ministry's data on the COVID Now portal, 95% of the adult population, or 22,247,174 individuals, have received at least one dose of the vaccine. On Thursday, a total of 206,418 doses of the vaccine were dispensed, involving both the adult and the adolescent populations. This brings the total number of doses administered under the National COVID-19 Immunization Program since February 24 to 46,458,672. As for teenagers aged 12 to 17 years, a total of 551,972 individuals, or 17.5% of them, have completed the vaccination, while 76.7%, or 2,416,010 others, have received at least the first dose of the vaccine since the PIC program for the group was launched on September 8th.
SINOPHARM COVID-19 vaccine is now available in Malaysia, and Duo Pharma Sundaram Berhad has been selected as the authorized registration holder and to engage in the sales and distribution of the vaccine in the country.
In a statement today, Duo Pharma said the first shipment of the vaccine had arrived in batches in September 2021, and it is now widely available at clinics and private hospitals nationwide. Its Group Managing Director, Leonard Arif Abdul Shattar, said Duo Pharma is committed to supporting the government's vaccination program and augmenting the national COVID-19 immunization program by expanding vaccine distribution channels to ensure full vaccine coverage in Malaysia. According to the statement, the SINOPHARM vaccine is currently indicated for individuals aged 18 to 59. In July 2021, the Ministry of Health's Drug Control Authority, or DCA, had approved the conditional registration of the SINOPHARM COVID-19 vaccine for use in Malaysia.
Malaysia has generated more than 7.2 billion ringgit in business leads with companies based in several countries during the first 2 weeks of its participation in EXPO 2020 Dubai. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said it is a positive outcome in the first 2 weeks of Malaysia's participation at the Expo as the country begins its economic recovery post-COVID-19.
The Prime Minister, in a statement, said the momentum is expected to maintain for the next 25 weeks, anchored by various ministries and agencies, including state governments. Meanwhile, the total figure in potential trade and investment was garnered from 14 memorandums of understandings, 3 letters of intent, and 2 memorandums of cooperation between 14 Malaysian companies and their foreign counterparts. The foreign companies are based in China, Egypt, India, Iran, Oman, Qatar, the United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States. Ismail Sabri said Malaysia is also confident of surpassing its total target of between 8 billion ringgit to 10 billion ringgit in trade business leads at the 6-month-long Expo. The Prime Minister also congratulates the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation for leading the country's participation in Expo 2020 Dubai and Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Centre as the implementing agency for the project.
Malaysia has won the election to take one of the 18 seats in the United Nations Human Rights Council with 183 votes for the 2022-2024 term. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, Malaysia's success in taking a seat in the UN Human Rights Council is a great achievement and recognition of the status of human rights.
He added, Malaysia is ready to play an active role, to be the facilitator for conciliation, the enabler for cooperation, and the builder of consensus. As such, Malaysia will work closely with the UN member states to advance the global human rights agenda as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Meanwhile, the United Nations in Malaysia welcomed Malaysia's pledge to mainstream human rights standards across policies and engage on other human rights treaties.
The UN in Malaysia, in a statement, also congratulated the government of Malaysia for its third-time election to the HRC and for its progressive pledges and commitments. In addition, the UN in Malaysia also applauded the government's commitment under its theme Unity for Humanity to fulfill its obligations under core human rights instruments such as the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, and the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. The UN in Malaysia will also continue to support Malaysia's efforts throughout the Universal Periodic Review process and stands ready to support South-South cooperation and experience sharing in the region and beyond.
And the government is convinced that the franchise industry will record 13 billion ringgit in sales revenue this year alone, although most businesses are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the figure is better than last year, with a year where the world stood still due to the emergence of coronavirus and where sales value of only 5.2 billion ringgit was recorded.
The franchise industry contributed 13.3 billion ringgit to the economy back in 2019, providing more than 80,000 job opportunities with an estimated salary contribution of 1.4 billion ringgit. The total sales showed an increase of 19.1% compared to the previous year, which totaled at 11.16 billion ringgit.
In the next 5 years, concerted efforts from various agencies and industry players are needed to revitalize the momentum.
He made the statement while launching the 28th Malaysia 2021 International Franchise Exhibition and Conference virtually on Thursday, October 14th. He added that in an effort to achieve the target, the government has allocated 10 million ringgit to the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs to continue the implementation of the Enhanced Franchise Development Program. The program aims to provide training to local franchise entrepreneurs so that they can equip themselves with international franchise practices and management, business matching and trade mission, in addition to export cost repayment.
Under this program, new business owners being offered matching grants, whereas full grants is for the franchise owners to expand for more business opportunities.
Ismail Sabri reiterated that Malaysia has always adapted itself to the policy of supporting franchises and welcomes international franchises to grow their business in this country. He added that the effort is in line with the nation's target to make Malaysia a franchise hub for ASEAN.
Insentif bayaran balik pinjaman PTPTN Anak Sarawak merupakan inisiatif yang ke-69 oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Patinggi Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Abang Haji Openg. Insentif yang diberikan oleh Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak ini berbentuk pengurangan bayaran balik sebanyak 30% ke atas baki pinjaman PTPTN yang melibatkan 9,000 peminjam dari negeri ini. Melalui pertukaran memorandum persefahaman antara Yayasan Sarawak dan PTPTN, perbelanjaan sebanyak RM30 juta telah diperuntukkan bagi insentif tersebut. Pembayaran balik pinjaman PTPTN bekas pelajar yang layak menikmati insentif ini dibuat menerusi Yayasan Sarawak. Dengan adanya insentif ini, ia dapat meringankan beban peminjam anak-anak Sarawak seterusnya menyelesaikan isu tunggakan bayaran pinjaman PTPTN di negeri ini.
Tergepung mimpi dada. Hai. Selalu tengok Karen menyanyi saja kan? Kali ini saya nak cuba baca berita pula. Jangan lupa saksikan Inspirasi TVS. Pelbagai cerita yang menginspirasikan akan saya kongsikan kepada anda. Bersama saya Kira Libau pada hari Sabtu dan Ahad ini jam 8.35 malam hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro dan My TV. Okey, kita sambung lagi. Maya tua berbeda.
Halo geng, kami Haziq Falullah akan jadi ujang kelak. Tapi kami seorang, kami ada kawan kami kelak.
Hai, kami Didi, kami bawa watak Mary. Jadi jangan lupa untuk saksikan
Drama bersiri Tili-Tili Cinta
hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro dan My TV.
Welcome back. On foreign front, a man left a trail of destruction in Australia on Friday after using a front-end loader to smash into a motorcycle shop and steal motorcycles before attempting to flee from Queensland police.
Queensland police said the man allegedly stole the machinery before using it to break into a motorcycle shop in Ipswich. Police footage showed the man ramming into the shop window with the front-end loader, attaching two motorbikes to the machinery before driving away. Police vehicles followed the front-end loaders as it drove through suburban streets and down railway lines, passing Ipswich railway station on the way. The front-end loader dropped the motorbikes during the chase. Queensland police later arrested the man on foot after the front-end loader slipped down an embankment.
And the British government has announced that from October 24th onwards, fully vaccinated travellers arriving in England from non-red list countries can take a lateral flow test rather than the more expensive PCR test. The lateral flow test can now be taken on or before day 2 of arrival.
The test must be bought privately from October 22nd from a list of government-approved private providers. However, the unvaccinated will still need to take a PCR test on day 2 after arrival as well as quarantine at home for 10 days. Additionally, the rule changes will make testing on arrival simpler and cheaper for people across the country. Besides that, taking away expensive mandatory PCR testing will boost the travel industry and is a major step forward in normalizing international travel and encouraging people to book holidays with confidence. The British government also expanded the list of countries whose vaccination programs will be treated the same as Britain's. Other places where this now applies include Hong Kong, India, Pakistan, and South Africa.
And finally, in Sydney, residents had a mixed response after the state government said they would allow fully vaccinated international travellers to enter without quarantine beginning today.
New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet said that those arriving would no longer have to undergo mandatory 2-week hotel quarantine at their own expense, as long as they show proof of vaccination and a negative COVID-19 test prior to boarding a plane to Australia.
If they're fully vaccinated, then it's good for the people here in Sydney and New South Wales. So I guess the same principle should apply to people coming back or people visiting, and you know, to give the economy a bit of a kick. We were just talking on the way down, the hotels, restaurants in hotels aren't open and because there's no one in the hotels. So yeah, I think it's time to get it going because it's like the new normal now. So
I still think we need to be a bit cautious, mate. You know, and I think even, you know, I think we've got to think about that one for a bit longer, and opening international borders, we're going to see. I don't know enough about it to say.
Whilst many Sydney residents agreed that it was time for the state to learn to live with COVID-19 and rejoin the rest of the world, there was concern that the move was too abrupt.
I think, yes, we should let people in if they're double vaxxed and they've tested negative, but I'm a bit concerned that you go from 2 weeks hotel quarantine to 0 quarantine, at least maybe a few days at home, isolating to make sure. I'm not sure, we want our daughter to come back from London and, would love her to come, but if she had to isolate at home for 3 or 4 days, that'd be fine, but not 2 weeks in a hotel. But I just think it's going from a whole lot to 0 really quickly. And and will everyone just then be coming to New South Wales? No one going to any other part of Australia? All be just staying in Sydney? I don't know.
It is good. It is good. Maybe a few months ago, I would have thought it's a bit scary, but it's been so long for so many people. We need to be reunited with our families. There's so many Australians abroad that wants to come back, and we cannot carry on like this. The world has opened up, and we need to learn how to live with COVID.
Meanwhile, following Perrottet's announcement, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said that the federal government will only allow Australian citizens, residents and their immediate families to enter the country.
And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. You can find the latest news on our website at TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media. Once again, I'm Douglas Elliott. Good night and have a good weekend.
Teleport is one of the most expensive. Nobody talks about teleport. It's only recently there's a teleport craze, right?
Orang muda-muda sekarang ni susah sikit nak ambil bagian batu.
Dia minta saya buat chop. Saya kata kenapa benda ni sampai ke besut. Dia kata tak ada orang berani nak buat.
The story of teleport, the carrier of legacy.
Join me, Arabird, as we reveal this fading art only on The Claw Story.
Hi, I'm Declan. I play Steven Seagat, and don't forget to catch Tili Tili Cinta on TVS channel 122 Astro and My TV.
其实，在还没有正式踏入中医这个行业，应该是无业游民吧。因为当我在中国留学之后啊，毕业了之后，人家说毕业就等于失业，非常的对这句话。但是我的目标比较明确，我就立志一定要回到我的家乡古晋，也没有什么原因吧，因为我的家就在这边啊。对。 所以我一定要把我学以致用的东西都带回来。刚刚开始回来的时候也很迷茫，因为也已经24岁了，就不想再靠家里拿钱了，和父母就是张手拿钱，也比较叛逆吧，我觉得那个时候，因为附近的朋友都已经成家立业了，都有一份很稳定的工作，但是我才是刚到社会的一个非常
新鲜人。
新鲜人，对。那个时候我也尝试了一些像 part time 的工作，我去当了小提琴的老师，因为我本身以前就是有在玩小提琴，然后我也当了华文老师，就是一家的这个国际小学的华文老师，然后我也有当过就是活动主持人，也是因为朋友都觉得我很喜欢讲话，搞不好能够在这方面有一个新的突破这样子，所以我很多都尝试过了，但是尝试到了最后，我觉得这不是我喜欢的，